Namaskar to all of the participants. I am Siddharth from Policy Matrix, and we will now begin this session. So, our participants are joining right now, and many of them will be joining very soon. And we'll be beginning this session. We have today with us Dr. Shashank Kulkarni, and he is the expert speaker on agricultural policy. So, this will be a bilingual session. We can use Hindi as well as English. And शशांक जी एक कवि हैं, एक ऑथर हैं और एक ऑरेटर हैं और ही इज करेंटली एम्प्लॉयड इन बाय द सेंट्रल यूनिवर्सिटी ऑफ जम्मू as a faculty member in the Department of Public Policy and Public Administration. So, शशांक जी ने काफी ज्यादा कृषि के क्षेत्र में काम किया है तथा कृषि की नीति पर शशांक जी ने एक किताब भी लिखी है जो कि जिसके ऊपर इस चर्चा पर को आधारित किया जाएगा। और स्वामीनाथन कमीशन जो है उसके ऊपर शशांक भाई साहब का काफी ज्यादा काम है और हम आज स्वामीनाथन कमीशन और अ फाउंडेशन ऑफ फार्मर्स पॉलिसी इन इंडिया इस टॉपिक के ऊपर चर्चा करेंगे। मैं आपका स्वागत करता हूं शशांक भाई साहब। और पॉलिसी मैट्रिक्स का जो ये मंच है इसमें हम नीति के क्षेत्र में चर्चा करते हैं तथा यहाँ पर नीति के क्षेत्र में काम किया जाता है। सो इस चर्चा के बाद एक पूरा का पूरा एक विस्तृत अध्ययन स्वामीनाथन कमीशन के ऊपर जो होगा वो हम लोग रिलीज भी करेंगे विद इन 10 डेज और उसको आगे बढ़ाएंगे। बिना ज्यादा समय गवाते हुए अब मैं शशांक भाई साहब आपको निमंत्रण करता हूं कि आप अपना उद्बोधन प्रारंभ करें।
धन्यवाद सिद्धार्थ जी। फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल आई वुड लाइक टू से थैंक यू फॉर पॉलिसी मैट्रिक्स for choosing this topic for the discussion. Agriculture policy history of India. First time in 2004, Government of India constituted a commission. The name of that commission was National Commission on Farmers. And Professor M.S. Swaminathan, who is a renowned scientist, agricultural scientist, he appointed as the chairman of that commission, and therefore this commission is known as Swaminathan Commission. The relevance and importance of this commission is that this was the first such kind of commission formulated by Government of India on farmers. Before that, if we see the history of our agricultural policy after independence, there were number of policies, number of schemes, number of projects were formulated time to time as per the requirement, but the locus and focus of that policies was a agricultural development, improvement in the agricultural productivity, infrastructural development in the agriculture. But in 2004, Government of India thought in a serious mode that agricultural policies are something different and farmers policies are something different. And if we are providing focus on the agricultural policies, we can improve our productivity, we can improve a quality of our agricultural infrastructure. But what's about a farmers? Dear friends, can we imagine even agriculture without farmers? Just like a relationship between the Ram and Ram Leela, similarly, there is a relation between farmers and agriculture. If farmers become successful, agriculture becomes successful. And if agriculture becomes successful, nation and government becomes successful. That is the correlation between the welfare and development of farmer and the agriculture. I have basically trained as a agricultural engineer. And when I joined Department of Public Policy and Public Administration, Central University of Jammu, before that I got opportunity to work as a farm manager. And during those days, I understood the real life experience in the field of agriculture, how agricultural laborers are the working, how productivity is going on, what is the actual problem of the farmers. And therefore, I decided that I have to work on the farmers policies of our country. And due to that reason, I started a review of literature. and I started reading the Swaminathan Commission. At that point of the time, I understood that there are five reports submitted by the Swaminathan Commission to the government of India in between 2004 to 2006, and one report is near about 400 to 500 pages. It means you can imagine the entire document of a Swaminathan Commission is near about 5,000 pages. I spent near about 2 years of my life in 2017 and 2018 to read entire reports, five reports of the Swaminathan Commission. I kept notes, I reviewed it, and after completion of my review process, I wrote a mail to the Professor M.S. Swaminathan. Professor M.S. Swaminathan is now living in Chennai, and he is working through his research foundation, Professor M.S. Swaminathan Research Foundation in Chennai. And in 2019, I wrote him mail and I told him that, sir, I reviewed the entire five reports of your commission and I kept it into a near about 200 pages. Then he gave me a reply, Shashank, if possible, please come here at Chennai. I want to see your work. Then I went there in June 2019. I spent some period there and I have shown them my work. Then he told me that if possible, kindly convert it into a book by which a common farmers, agricultural leaders, policymakers, farmer leaders, agricultural scientists, and common people also, they will understand different suggestions, recommendations given by the Swaminathan Commission. Because friends, Swaminathan Commission is not only restricted with the only MSP and a production cost and agricultural marketing. Yes, no doubt these are the important issues in front of agriculture and farmers, but you can understand that there are 5,000 pages in that commission. It means how many points, how many subjects, oh, and sub subjects, sub points covered by the Swaminathan Commission. Then he told me, if possible, convert it into book. Then I requested him, sir, if you will provide me a forward to this book, then I will think on it because it gives a authenticity to this work. Because I am a simple researcher and you are a renowned agriculture policy scientist and you were the chairman of this commission. Then he told me that I have to read it and then only I can think about it. Then after 10-15 days, he sent me a mail and he agreed that he will give a preface to the book. And within a month, he provided his forward. And Swaminathan Commission, a foundation of farmers policy in India. This book was published in 2020 by Academic Foundation, New Delhi. And again, he suggested me that if possible, this is the book. I have this book. This is a book in English. He suggested me that if possible, can you convert it into a different regional languages? I started work on it in 2021. I translated it into a Marathi. This is the Marathi edition of this book, a Swaminathan Commission, Bharatiya Shetkari Dhornancha Paya. And now I am working on the project to convert this book into Hindi because many farmers, many farmer leaders, they are familiar with the Hindi. And if we will translate it into Hindi, then it becomes very easy for them to understand the different important recommendations of Swaminathan Commission. I will give few examples by which we will understand the intensity and gravity of a quality of a recommendation of Swaminathan Commission. Swaminathan Commission provided recommendation to the government of India that kindly change the nomenclature of the Ministry of Agriculture because the name of the ministry is that Ministry of Agriculture. But in this name, in this nomenclature, we are not getting that approach that this ministry is working for the farmers also. Therefore, Swaminathan Commission provided recommendation, change the nomenclature of this ministry and write it as a Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare. Government of India adopted these suggestions and now our name of the ministry is Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare. It means that this is a clear policy indication that government is equally sensitive with the farmers, as sensitive as the improvement of the agricultural productivity. Swaminathan Commission provided focus on such areas in the farmer policies, such like a underage population in the agriculture, that is the children's in the agriculture. Because we, if we will not take them seriously, if we will not provide them education and capacity building, then it becomes very difficult for us to to make them a competent citizen. Otherwise poverty will convert into a chronic poverty. Therefore the children's in the field of agriculture, it is a very crucial issue taken by the Swaminathan Commission. Youth in the agriculture is the second important issue taken by Swaminathan Commission. They provided numerous suggestions and recommendations regarding with the youth, how to attract youth in agriculture. This is one of the important challenge in front of farmers policies of our country. Because if you will see, if you will observe, no any youth want to carry a farmer as a career option, and no any parent want to hand over this profession to their next generation. And if youth and will not involve in the agricultural practices, how can we inculcate different technologies in the agriculture? How can we work on a precision farming? How can we do a farm mechanization? How can we use information and communication technology in the agriculture? Therefore involvement of the youth in the agriculture is a very very important area. And Swaminathan Commission provided a crucial focus on this area also. The third important point Swaminathan Commission raised, that the women in the agriculture, because the women are working near about the half population in the agriculture, they have different kinds of problems, they have different kinds of issues and challenges. How can we tackle it through our ordinary policies? Therefore policies should be make in such a way that they can counter the issue of a women in the agriculture. I think this is the important achievement and important thing raised by the Swaminathan Commission, which is very important to understand while formulating the policies for the farmers and the agriculture. A fourth point is landless laborers. You know that there are many people, they do not have agricultural land, but then also they are working in the agriculture as the laborers. And obviously they are under the unorganized sector, and they have many issues, and they do not have a money guarantee or even a pension, and different kinds of social security they do not have. When we are thinking about the farmers, these people are also involving in that farming category. In the first time, in 2007, where government of India gave its official national policy for farmers, which is also recommended by the National Commission on Farmers. The government of India defined farmer as a concept officially, and in that definition, government of India mentioned that all the population who are involved in the agriculture, all are considered as a farmers. It means there is no requirement that those people who have ownership of agriculture land, they only consider as a farmer. No, those people who are landless but they are working in the agriculture as agricultural laborers, those people who are involving in the livestock management, beekeeping, horticulture, those people who are living in the forest like tribal people, and they are using minor produce from that forest, they are also considered as a farmers. It means a Swaminathan Commission provides a draft of a national policy for farmers, and through that draft Swaminathan Commission defined farmer, a definition of a farmer, and government of India accepted that definition, and now all these people, they are considering as a farmer. Previously, for example, a woman member in the family, normally they do not have a ownership right, therefore they are not coming under the category of farmers. For our children's in the agriculture, they do not have ownership of a land, they were not considering as a farmer. But now, due to Swaminathan Commission's recommendation, all the people who are involving in the agricultural activities, they all are considering as a farmers. This is also, I think, the important achievement or important point given by the National Commission on Farmers, that is the Swaminathan Commission. A fifth important point is a senior senior citizens who are working in the agriculture, because they do not have economic security, and if they are not in that position to provide a physical labor in the agricultural activities, how can we tackle this population, overage population in the agriculture? The Swaminathan Commission gives different recommendations and suggestions, and government has to make some farmers policies which will take care of this population. Otherwise, these people becomes a burden on the agriculture or the farmer's family, and this is the important issue which is emerging in the field of agriculture. These are some points I told you to understand the sphere of Swaminathan Commission, at different points which are covered by the Swaminathan Commission. Uh, Due to time constraint, it becomes very difficult for us to understand each and every point which I mentioned in the book. But the intention and the motive of this lecture is to provide you some inputs that National Commission of Farmers, that is Swaminathan Commission, which is the first and only commission which is made for the farmers, and that commission gave us a first agri farmers policies of our country, which officially adopted by government of India in 2007. This is the relevance and importance of National Commission on Farmers, that is Swaminathan Commission. Therefore, the title of book, if you will see, I mentioned, or the even the topic of this today's lecture, a Swaminathan Commission, Foundation of Farmers Policies of India. Reason behind it is that after independence, we have adopted a planning system, 5-year plans, and we provided a focus for the agricultural development, infrastructural development, white revolution, a green revolution. But our focus was not on the development of the farmers. Since 2004, that is the establishment of this commission, government of India had taken it seriously that agricultural policies are something different and the farmers policies are something different. Farmer is the backbone of agriculture, and agriculture is the backbone of Indian economy, and without development of farmers we cannot develop agriculture in a sustainable way. If you will see a period of 2004 or the decade of 2000, at that point of the time, agrarian crisis, farmer suicide became a prominent issue in front of agriculture. That was the background, historical background for the establishment of the National Commission on Farmers. Therefore, Swaminathan Commission provided important suggestions to stop farmer suicide, because farmer suicide is also a important issue in front of us, because within 43 minutes one farmer is committing suicide in our country. It means, in if you will deliver this lecture in a 30 or 40 minutes, during this period maybe one farmer will commit the suicide. See the intention of this issue. If a farming as a profession peoples are committing suicide, I think it is a matter of serious concern for us as a society, and it is matter of serious concern for policy makers also. And Swaminathan commissions provided different kinds of recommendation to stop farmer suicides in our country. There are different 5 reports submitted by the Swaminathan Commission. In 2004, they submit 2 reports. First one is Serving Farmer, Saving Farming. To understand, if you will see the title of the report, you will understand the intention of Swaminathan Commission. Serving farmers and saving farming. It means welfare of farmer is important, by which we can develop agriculture. This is the sustainable way to develop agriculture. We cannot develop agriculture without development of farmers, without empowerment of farmers. Second title, From Crisis to Confidence. As I mentioned, in 2004, the agrarian crisis started, and in first suicide in Mr. Sahebrao Karpe, he was serpent of one village and he committed suicide with his 7 or 8 family members. And it was a first recorded farmer suicide, and he wrote a suicide note and mentioned different points that why he was going to commit suicide. and then that the series of farmer suicide started. I during my PhD work, my topic was policy ecocide, national policy for farmers, and its impact on farmer suicide on Vidarbha region of Maharashtra. I went there in Vidarbha region where highest suicides are going on. I spent near about 6 months there in Amravati, Yavatmal, and Buldhana district. Yavatmal was known as a capital of farmer suicide, where in a single district, within 24 hours, one farmer is committing suicide. That kind of things I observed there. And in this report, second report, from crisis to confidence, Swaminathan Commission was talking about the how to stop farmer suicide, how to empower farmer suicide, how to provide a infrastructural development for the distress areas or hotspot areas like Vidarbha, and some part of Andhra, some part of Madhya Pradesh, some part of Chhattisgarh. Third report is that agricultural renewal. Agricultural renewal is means that in the decade of 1960, a process of green revolution started, and Professor M.S. Swaminathan himself was known as a father of green revolution. Uh, but in the decade of 2000, we understood that the limitations of a green revolution, because green revolution was a temporary arrangement to improve the productivity by using a high yielding variety and high dose of fertilizer. And we have to take medicine up to cure of that disease. If our disease is cured, no need to take medicine. Similarly, a temporary arrangement were made for a time being. If whenever we recover ourselves, now we are in a top position of the wheat production and the rice production, sugarcane production, milk production. Then now we have to rethink, revise, reconsider our policies that we adopted at the point of the green revolution. And the a, a, a beauty of a Swaminathan Commission was that in 2004, Swaminathan Commission mentioned that now it's time to move from a green revolution to evergreen revolution. It means a sustainable agriculture. Without it, it becomes very difficult for us to develop agriculture in a sustainable way. In fourth report, Jai Kisan Draft of National Policy for Farmers 2007. As I told you earlier, the main objective of a formulation of National Commission of Farmers under the chairmanship of a Professor M.S. Swaminathan was that Government of India uh, wants to formulate a national policy for farmers, and for that matter this commission constituted, and this commission provided the draft of national policy for farmers in its fourth report in 2006, and the last report also submitted in 2006 towards faster and more inclusive growth of farmers welfare. It means uh, Swaminathan Commission have chosen different areas which are related with the farmers, and in this report, Swaminathan Commission was talking about the future aspect. How can we develop policies regarding with agriculture and farmers in case of India in future, by which we can create that kind of balance of a farmer's welfare as well as the agricultural development, that is the productivity. In this sense, the last report is talking and giving so many recommendations. For example, that report is talking about the establishment of agricultural clinics, just like a health centers for human beings are available in each and every village and towns. Similarly, there should be a agricultural clinics in every village, and there should be a agricultural doctor, agricultural expert who will sit there, and farmer will go visit that place and will get a scientific advice by which he can utilize its inputs scientifically. It will reduce the cost also, and it will help to maintain the health of the soil, health of the environment. Such kind of important recommendations which are given by Swaminathan Commission. Now it's time to think on these recommendations, these suggestions by which we can develop our agriculture, and we similarly at the same time we can develop our farmers also. Uh, this is the submission from my side. uh, we can discuss on it, you can ask some questions. uh, I have number of points I have prepared it. If I will discuss point to point, I think that one lecture will be required for one report. Means we can conduct a series of lectures, near about 5 6 lectures, by which we will understand the entire what we say that different points which are involved in the reports. But I have given you outlook, or I have given you a brief explanation of what is meant by Swaminathan Commission, why I have chosen this topic to write a book on Swaminathan Commission, why I mention Swaminathan Commission as a foundation of farmers policies of India, what are the different reports, and what is the actual intention, what is the actual direction that Swaminathan Commission wanted to give to the policymakers. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Shashank. You have talked about rampant farmer suicide in India. So, in your course of research, did you see any particular reason for this? And what do you see the government doing to control the farmer suicides?
Yes, Siddharji. Uh, there is one sociologist, Emil Durkheim. He is talking about the suicidal current. I think some of you are aware about this concept, those who have a sociology background. And he is talking about the suicidal currents which are always present in the environment, and a person who can match his or her frequency with that current, any person can commit suicide. And the speciality of Emil Durkheim that he spent entire his life to study the suicidal phenomena. If you will visit such a places like Vidarbha, which I mentioned, I was there for 6 months, and I use a participatory research approach. I spend nights and days with them. I spent 24 hours. I visited their farms. I have observed. I work with them, and I understood one thing is that suicidal currents are present in that environment. And for example, I will give one example. I visited one village, and I asked to village secretary kindly provide me a list of farmers who committed suicide, by which I can visit their houses. He told me that, sir, there is no need to make a list. If you will start from one house, after 2 3 house you will get an house in which farmer committed suicide. Such kind of situations are there, and children are observing these things since their childhood, and poverty is converting from one generation to another generation, and when it transfers, it becomes a chronic poverty. Therefore, I think this is the most important reason that the suicidal current type of environment created in that particular area. For example, most of you are living in a Delhi. There are some areas like Mukherjee Nagar and Karol Bagh. There the environment of a competitive examination. If any other person will enter in that area, he will also get some kind of motivation that, oh, I have to prepare for competitive examination. That kind of environment created in that particular place. Similarly, there are some places that Swaminathan Commission mentioned them as a hotspots in our country, where you will get environment to commit suicide. A suicidal currents are there. Yes, David Emil Durkheim. Someone has written, right? You are right. Government of India is doing many things there. Uh, Government of India working on the infrastructural development. They are working over the irrigation development. Government of India, Government of Maharashtra is providing them a compensation and insure agricultural insurance. There are number of subsidies are there for farm mechanization, for agricultural inputs like fertilizer and seeds. So many things are happening, and now situation is comparatively better than earlier.
Thank you, sir. You have also talked about agricultural clinics, and I have
Yes.
personally came across radio programs, TV programs, even phone channels which guides farmers. And there are also scientific centers where farmers can take advice from agricultural scientists. But even after that, do you believe that the practice of agricultural clinics are reachable to all the farmers of India, or is there anything else to be done in this regard?
Yes, yes. See, National Commission on Farmers is very serious about this recommendation, and they want to create an infrastructure. It means, for example, in a village there is a primary health center, or village is comparatively less population, there is a sub center, and there is a appointed doctor and paramedical staff. All things are there. Similarly, there should be a one building in the village, and the name of that building is agricultural clinic. There is an agricultural expert will sit there. Some agricultural assistant, just like a paramedical staff, they will also will be appointed. And if a farmer will face any kind of difficulty, if he will get insects in his farm, he will keep that sample with him, and he will visit that agricultural clinic, and the expert, or we can say the agricultural doctor, he will give him a prescription that this kind of insecticide, this kind of herbicide, this kind of pesticides are required, or this kind of tonic or fertilizer is required. And as per the prescription, he will visit to the agriculture service center, just like we are visiting to the medical shop. And as per his prescription, he will purchase the fertilizer and insecticides, and then he will spray it. And even that doctor, agriculture doctor, will tell him how to spray, how to use it. That kind of micro thinking is done by the Swaminathan Commission. I think though there are some difficulties due to economic crunch, but in future we have to move in that direction.
Thank you, sir. Swaminathan Commission also suggested many irrigational reforms. And do you see those irrigational reforms transferring to the grassroots level right now?
Yes, you see, the irrigation is the one of the important factor in the cultivation in the agriculture. And without irrigation facility, we cannot take multi-cropping. When we are talking about two or three crops in a year, or we are talking about mixed cropping, or we are talking about different varieties of crops, innovative agriculture, precision agriculture, these all concepts which are basically based on the agriculture irrigation. Without support of a proper irrigation, we cannot increase the productivity and profitability of the agriculture. And these are two important challenges in front of us, because on one side we are getting our population is increasing day by day, and we have to fulfill their hunger, and at the same time we have to make agriculture as a profitable entity by which farmer will continue their profession, and they will work as a farmer and they will provide us food. These two things, though they are different, moving in a different direction, but we have to work on these two things simultaneously. And for that matter, irrigation is one of the crucial factor. Swaminathan Commission told about the farm pond. Swaminathan Commission is talking about the watershed development, water conservation, canal development, uh, conservation of water on farm itself, and they are talking about the hill agriculture on hill system, how to develop agriculture in hilly area. So many things Swaminathan Commission is talking about regarding with the agriculture. Government is working in that direction, but I think we can increase the speed and to provide irrigation facilities, especially for the areas like Vidarbha where people are committing suicide, because these are the most sensitive areas, and in which irrigation facility is most important thing. And government of Maharashtra is working on the Shet Tale farm pond, and I think near about 80-85% subsidies government of Maharashtra providing to the farmers, by which they can create a farm pond in this their farm, by which they will get irrigation also, and it will improve the water level, groundwater level.
Thank you, sir. You were talking about productivity growth, and since India has a large population to feed, with a urgent need to transform agriculture into a commercially viable option, what are some of the current programs of the government to work and improve on this aspect?
Yes. Indian Council of Agriculture Research is working on a precision farming. I think this is the important initiative taken by Indian Council of Agricultural Research, in which they want to utilize resources in the agriculture precisely, scientifically, by which we can reduce the input cost and we will improve the outcomes in the agriculture. This is one important thing. Second important thing is that government of India is working on the promoting different varieties. For example, if you will listen that now in Madhya Pradesh, a state government of Madhya Pradesh, they are promoting the apple production. They are providing training to the farmers by which they can grow the apples, and our agriculture scientists are developing such kind of variety of apple which will grow in the which can be cultivated in the Madhya Pradesh. Such kind of things are also happening in our country, and especially Indian Agricultural Research Institute, which is also birthplace of green revolution, and a supreme agricultural education institute in our country. That institute is also playing a crucial role to create such kind of strategy. In the context of your question, I want to quote Dattopanta Thengdi ji. According to me, he was a great even farmer policy expert in his time, and he started the Bharatiya Kisan Sangh. He told that we are describing our agriculture as a Krushi Pradhan, but according to him, only a Krushi Pradhan is an insufficient explanation of our agriculture, Indian agriculture. According to him, Krushi Go Vanijya Pradhan. It means agriculture, livestock, and agriculture market and agriculture marketing. If all these three concepts come together, and if there is a synchrony between these three concepts, then and then only we can develop our agriculture through an Indian way. Because in India we are not considering agriculture as only a economic entity or only a commercial practices. It is very close to our culture, it is very close to our tradition. Our entire festival system depends on the agriculture, and farmer is emotionally connected with the practices in the agriculture. Therefore there is need to develop Indian agriculture in an Indian way. I think this is my important observation, which should be noted.
Thank you, sir. And you were discussing about Krishi being a Vanijya Pradhan practice. And in relation to this, what are your opinion about the now repealed farm laws? Because that was seen as a serious attempt by the government to transform the agricultural landscape of the country. So, do you think that they aim to influence this in a positive way? And do you see any edited version of the law making to the parliament soon?
Yes. Whenever we are discussing about the agriculture policies and farmer policies, it is quite obvious that we provide focus on these three laws and the agitations which were done by the farmers of some areas of the country. The name of the three laws is that first law is the Farmers Produce Trade and Commerce Promotion and Facilities Act. Second law was that the Farmers Empowerment and Protection Agreement of Price Insurance and Farm Service Act. And third act was Essential Commodity Act. If you will see the name of these three acts, you will understand that main focus of a discussion, debate, and even at that point at the time, the main point of agitation was a MSP. Few days back, I was there in Pune University, where there was one national seminar on agriculture price policy, where also I mentioned this thing that MSP is a interim arrangement, a interim solution, a temporary solution of a permanent problem, because before 1960 there was no such kind of system. MSP started during the Green Revolution, and the main aim was MSP, minimum support price mechanism, is to attract the farmers to grow a high yielding variety of wheat and rice, and to use the high dose of the fertilizers, and to provide the assurance to the farmers, if you will grow this variety and if your production will be increased, we are there as a government and we will purchase these things from you. uh, it was the need at that point of the time. And if you will see at today's context, the situation of 1960s and 1970s is something different, and a situation of 2020 or in the 21st century is something different. Therefore, though minimum support price is an important mechanism, but we cannot think it as a, a golden solution for each and every problem. There are number of things which we have to adopt with MSP, and we have to think beyond the MSP. This is my one observation. Next observation is that agricultural marketing, because these three acts, they are closely related with the agricultural market. We know that the MSP is there only for 25 or 26 agricultural commodities. There are a number of commodities which are not covering under the MSP. For example, strawberry, any product in the horticulture, any product in the vegetable, they are not coming under the span of MSP. But then also the apple producers, strawberry producers, mango producers, they are getting benefit. It means we can develop a alternative system also, alternative market also. We can provide strength to the local market, local mandi. It will also help to empower our farmers. Therefore, though there was agitation at that point of the time, the reason behind it is that government was not in that position to convince them in a proper way. It does not mean that there were no that kind of logic in that act. Yes, there maybe there are some scope to develop, to add the value of this act, but we have to move in that direction. We have to accept some fact, and we as that is proverb is that political decisions are something different and economic decisions are something different. Sometimes political decisions may be correct in the political sense, but it is incorrect in the economic sense. It is a maturity of a policy makers. How can we correlate these two things and take such a kind of decision which are economically also correct and politically also correct? It means we have to take such kind of policies which will provide help to the common people as a consumer, and which will also empower the farmers. uh, okay.
Thank you, sir. Discussing on MSP further, the central government has tried to handhold the agricultural sector right from the independence in 1947. Do you think that it is time to now also integrate private entities seriously into the agricultural sector? And why this is relevant is because there is a opinion in the country which I sense, which sees the private entities as not being so farmer friendly. So do you think that this thought process needs to be changed in some part?
Yes, if we will see, there are three kind of sector on the basis of ownership if we think it on economically. First thing is the private sector, second is the public sector, and third is the cooperative sector. I think if we will see the uh, agriculture policy history in our country, there are some areas of our country where the cooperative model becomes successful. For example, in Uttar Pradesh, in Gujarat, even in Maharashtra, there are cooperative sugar mills, there are cooperative cotton processing industries, there are cooperative milk processing industries. This is also a important model, and where farmers are coming together, they themselves are becoming a shareholder, that is the owner of that organization, and they are working for the upliftment of themselves. For example, Amul in Gujarat, that Dr. Varghese Kurian started and promoted that model. uh, if we can move in that direction, I think that direction is more sustainable as compared to entry of private companies in the agriculture, and they will do contract with the farmers. Because in case of India, we have a different kind of mindset, different kind of environment towards agriculture, emotional attachment towards the cultivation practices, and therefore the even now there is a special ministry of cooperative is there, and government of India is working on to develop a farmers producing companies, FPOs, and government is also promoting the cooperative organizations for in case of for credit provide for the providing credit to the farmers, cooperative credit societies, cooperative agriculture processing units, cooperative storage units, cooperative markets. I think, as per my analysis, a cooperative model is more competent, more sustainable as compared to direct entry of a private company in the agricultural sector.
Thank you, sir. And this brings us to the last question. And we have seen various conferences and discussions which is happening on the G20 lines. So, what is your take on food security goals of farmers' policy aligning with the sustainable development goal models? Because SDG is something which is also a crucial element of G20.
Yes. First thing is that it is matter of proud for us as a citizen of this country that India got such a opportunity to lead G20 in this year. And India is known for the farming, India is known for the agriculture. Therefore, it is quite obvious that we have to think in the development of the agriculture and farmers policies of our country in the light of G20. And as you mentioned, rightly mentioned, that the sustainable goals they are very close to the development of the agriculture, because here neighbor of 60 to 60% population directly depends on the agriculture in our country. And if we cannot develop a economic and socio political situation of farmers in our country, then how can we help to achieve a sustainable goal? Because if economic condition of farmers is not as competent as their other fellow citizens, how will they get a quality education, how will they get a quality health facilities, how can they develop their children's how can they provide them a good education and make them competent to for their bright future? How can they participate in a political activities, and how can they enjoy different kinds of freedom provided by the Constitution of India? And therefore, farmer policies, competent farmer policies, successful farmer policies, efficient farmer policies, and even agriculture policies are very much essential, and we have to think on it seriously as a society, as a policymakers in the context of even G20. And we have that opportunity that we can create a role model that how to develop farmers, that Indian way to develop farmers. We can create such a kind of role model, and we can guide to the other countries in the world.
Thank you, Dr. Shashank Kulkarni ji.
This brings us to the end of session, and the session was so much engaging that I also wanted to ask one question, and that is related to the present focus on various crops which were traditionally grown in India. Like, for example, I see a renewed focus on the cultivation of millets. So, do you see
Yes.
the cultivation of such crops becoming a major tool to transform the agricultural sector?
Right, Siddharji, you rightly asked this question because in this year we are celebrating as International Millet Year, and we are providing focus on millets. See, if we have a background of British rule, and at that point at the time, they consider India as a satellite economy, and they impose or made compulsion of Indian farmers to grow cash crops like cotton, like tea, and like coffee, and even sugarcane, and therefore it disturbed the our cropping pattern, Indian cropping pattern. And in this 60 70 years, we required to uh, we change the our cropping pattern, and now we started to move in that proper direction. And how can we uh, take a crops as per our Indian traditions, how mixed cropping, mixed farming, and intercropping, how can we make a combination between the agricultural productivity through that crop? At the same time, how can we improve the quality of the soil? Because this is also important to maintain the soil health. That kind of thinking gets a space in these 20 or 10 to 20 years, and I think it is a good sign for us. And now it's time to move from the cash crop to the our other traditional crops, which are equally important economically, equally important culturally, or if we will see in the light of health also, that the different crops if we will grow, it will improve the biodiversity, it will increase the quality of biodiversity, it will increase the quality of the soil, and even it will fulfill the need of a micronutrients of our population. And government of India is also promoting these things, that farmers has to grow uh, different traditional crops rather than only cash crops.
Discussing further on this basic element of sustainable agricultural practices, which you have rightly pointed out, Shashank, do you see any part of the country where the traditional practices of agricultural were not disturbed by the Britishers, and what good practices were maintained by them till date? Is there any part in the country, because you have done quite a research in this field?
Yes, yes, there are some parts. For example, if you will visit northeast, you will get that they are the so-called tribal people. We cannot tell them they are underdeveloped. They maintain the Indian way of farming. Some part of the Himachal Pradesh, if you will visit, there are some villages that they have of near about 20 30 Indian varieties of same crop, and they develop a seed bank at a village level. I think there is one lady in Himachal Pradesh. She got Padma Shri for this work. There are some areas in our country that people in that area, they are working in the development of agriculture through Indian way, and they are adopting indigenous method, they are adopting indigenous variety, and they are getting a good result.
Thank you, sir. This brings us to the end of this very brilliant session, because the discussion involved 30 minutes and the questions also involved 30 minutes almost. So I'll take this opportunity to thank our expert resource person for this webinar, Dr. Shashank Kulkarni, sir, for his highly informative session on Swaminathan Commission and its role in agricultural transformation in India. Certainly, agricultural reforms is something which India and all the policy making bodies must understand about, And I sincerely hope that all the participants attending this session must have learned immensely. And I thank you, sir, for your great presentation over the subject. And I certainly agree with you that Swaminathan Commission is a vast topic and multiple lectures are needed to discuss this, because 60 minutes are certainly not enough, provided that there were multiple reports of Swaminathan Commission, which you have very deftly combined into a single book. So we'll try to have some more sessions on this. And of course, we'll involve Dr. Shashank, sir, because he's a brilliant agricultural policy scientist and which sees in the kind of discussion which we were having. I will also like to thank our founder, Mr. Abhishek Ranjan, who established Policy Matrix and guides us every time during the organization of such an event. With these words, on the behalf of the entire team of Policy Matrix, I like to express our sincere thanks to Dr. Shashank Kulkarni ji and all the academicians and research scholars who have joined us today. With your due permission now, Shashank sir, we can bring this session to a close, and with also a
Yes,
promise that
I would also
yeah,
like to give thank you from bottom of my heart to the Policy Matrix, Abhishek ji, Siddharth ji, and I'm not aware of the name of the other dignitaries present here. I am very thankful to all of you that you provide me a valuable time of your life and to discuss to understand the important topic in front of our country. And as mentioned, Siddharji, I'm just give a outlook or just a gist of this work. In future, I would like to discuss on this Swaminathan Commission. We can do this thing also, that for one report there is a one interaction. Within 4 or 5 interaction, we can cover main points of the Swaminathan Commission. I am again thankful to all of you for providing this opportunity and platform for me. Thank you very much. Namaste.
it was certainly a pleasure of us, sir, to host you in this highly informative session. And we certainly hope that this session is one of many which we'll be having discussing the agricultural policy in India. With your due permission now, sir, we can bring this session to a close.
Okay.